Yes, please state your name, Mr. Buckner, and turn on your screen.
It's Lawrence and the family apartment.
Can you please turn on your screen?
Can you see me?
I can see you, but now you have. All right, we'll see if that noise starts up again, giving us some numbers that I could not. All right, we're here for non-jury trial today. Are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Anybody want to give opening statements?
Judge, the people will waive opening statement.
Defense will likewise waive, Your Honor.
All right. You may call your first witness.
Thank you, Judge. The people call Sergeant Jordan Irbies to the stand.
Sergeant Irbies, please unmute your device for me and raise your right hand to be sworn. Sergeant Irbies, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I know you've testified before, so I don't need to give you any direction. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Woods.
Thank you, Judge. Sergeant Irbies, could you please state your name again for the record?
Sergeant Jordan Urbis, E-R-B as in boy, E-S.
And where are you currently employed?
Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office in the Police Service Division.
Okay. And were you employed in that capacity on November 17th of 2024?
I was.
All right, folks, buckle up because today we're diving into a case that's as intense as it is unbelievable. Lawrence Buckner is on trial for malicious use of a telecommunication device, and he thinks it's perfectly fine to threaten a police officer. Now, he claims it's because of his race, but the reality? He's repeatedly breaking the law, and things are about to get messy. We're going to break down the testimony, watch the body cam footage, and analyze every twist, lie, and shocking moment. Trust me, by the end of this video, you're not going to believe what unfolds in this courtroom.
Why were you given the task to call Mr. Buckner?
He was upset for being served a trespass notice to the improper address.
So he was given a trespass notice, but it was to the wrong address?
Yes, so Deputy Jay Clark had served him a trespass notice earlier in the evening. There are two Sunocos. It was supposed to be to the Sunoco at 350 South Ford Boulevard, but Deputy Jay Clark mistakenly issued it to him at 1024 Ecorse Road, which is the second Sunoco gas station in Ypsilanti Township.
So you were calling to just give him the correct information?
He asked to be called in order to make a complaint about being served the improper address.
Oh, so Mr. Buckner was complaining, so you were just
Yes.
calling to follow up on that complaint?
He asked to speak to a sergeant, and I was the one that was on duty at the time.
I see. Do you recall what time you called Mr. Buckner?
I believe it was around 1:30 a.m., somewhere in that time frame.
Okay. And are you familiar with Mr. Buckner's voice?
I am.
And when you called Mr. Buckner, was this call recorded?
It was recorded on my body-worn camera.
Judge, may I share my screen?
What are you sharing?
The phone call, it's on his body-worn camera. I just want to lay foundation.
All right. Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
So here we are, folks, at the start of a non-jury trial, which already sets a unique tone. The judge is calm, collected, and clearly ready to maintain control, while the prosecution calls Sergeant Jordan Herbie to the stand. Right off the bat, we see the formalities, the oath, stating employment details. But notice the subtle tension. This isn't just a procedural call. This is a sergeant with first-hand knowledge of Buckner's behavior. And already you can sense that the courtroom is bracing for some explosive revelations. And yes, the fact that this is happening remotely via Zoom adds its own layer of drama.
With a chain, his Zoom video is labeled Mr. Buckner.
Judge, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Lawrence Buckner?
No objection, Your Honor.
It shall.
So, who was when Mr. Buckner had stated on his phone call, if he approached me at the pizza place, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of him. Do you know who Mr. Buckner was referring to?
He was referring to Deputy Jay Clark. And I say Jay Clark because we have two Clarks that work for us.
Okay. And did you take what Mr. Buckner said to you as a threat on Deputy Clark?
I did.
Okay. And when a threat like that is made to a law enforcement officer, what are you required to do?
There's not any specific requirements, but I made sure to notify Deputy Jay Clark so that he was aware that the threat was made. And then, due to the likelihood of it, if it was going to be carried out, it would possibly be that night. I notified the other deputies on shift in case something occurred with Mr. Buckner.
Did you believe that threat that Mr. Buckner made?
Yes, considering it was made to a sergeant and it was pretty brazen and it's well aware of who he is, I did take it as a credible threat.
Okay. And how did this threat on a fellow law enforcement officer make you feel?
It concerned me for the safety of my deputy in the event that he was reserved that trespass notice, or in the event that they did come in contact with him in the community again that later that evening or that week.
Do you believe that this threat was intended to frighten, intimidate, or annoy or disturb your peace?
I do.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to that question as speculation and or calling for a legal conclusion.
Response.
I'm just asking for the officer to elaborate on how that made him feel. I can rephrase my question, Judge.
Okay, please rephrase.
Officer, when you received that threat from Mr. Buckner, how did that make you feel?
Now pay close attention here. The crux of this incident begins with a seemingly simple error. Buckner was given a trespass notice at the wrong address. But it's not just clerical. It escalates quickly because Buckner's anger isn't just about paperwork. He insists on speaking to a sergeant, which is where Sergeant Herbie steps in. This moment is key because it highlights Buckner's pattern. A combination of entitlement, aggression, and a refusal to recognize authority. And notice how Herbie carefully navigates the call, remaining professional even as Buckner's attitude clearly starts pushing boundaries. This is where tension starts to build, and the audience can already feel the storm.
But one of the things you said on the phone call was that you knew Mr. Buckner was lying to you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what you were indicating, Mr. Buckner, that you believed he was lying to you about was whether he had encountered Deputy Clark. Is that correct?
I believe it was whether Deputy Clark had a problem with him specifically or not.
One of the things you said in that call was that he hadn't been at the sheriff's department long enough to have any contact with Mr. Buckner. Is that correct?
To have significant enough contact for him to have a vendetta against Mr. Buckner, yes.
Fair to say that you were incorrect and that Mr. Buckner had contact with Mr. Clark.
Yes, he had contact. I don't believe I refuted that he had contact.
So fair to say that Mr. Buckner was not in fact lying to you?
I mean, it depends on how you're interpreting what Mr. Buckner said. So the reason that
Certainly.
Okay.
So additionally, you said earlier that you took the threat seriously.
Correct.
Now on the video, we heard you laughing immediately after you stated out loud that it was a threat.
Correct.
Would you generally laugh after you hear a serious threat towards a law enforcement officer?
Well, that was my response at the time because I thought it was so brazen, and I was surprised by it. It kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect that to come.
Okay, so I guess, okay, and earlier, the prosecutor asked you how you felt, and you initially said concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was another question the prosecutor asked you where there was an objection and a rephrase. She re-asked you that question, and then you changed concerned to frightened. Do you remember that?
Correct. Yes.
Why did you make that change?
Well, I can feel frightened at the same time that I can feel concerned for my deputy's welfare.
You certainly can, but I'm asking why you changed your phrasing the first time the question was asked to the second time the question was asked.
I don't have a answer for that.
Did you change that?
And here comes a game changer, the body cam footage. Now, this is where theory meets reality. The footage isn't just evidence. It's raw, unfiltered proof of Buckner's behavior and threats. Watch closely as the sergeant explains how he sets up the recording, ensuring every word is captured. The interaction is tense, awkward, and at times almost surreal. Buckner's tone, the back and forth, the misstatements, all captured. This is the moment where viewers start forming their own judgments. It's one thing to hear testimony. It's another to witness the actual exchange. And that buffer period on the body cam, that's a subtle but crucial detail, showing the complexities of capturing accurate evidence in real time.
Laugh that you did at the end. What kind of laugh would you say that was?
It was more out of shock than anything else that he had just said that and then hung up.
And he hung up the phone on you, correct, after he made that threat?
Correct.
Okay. Was that a laugh could that be described as a happy laugh?
I would say it was more of like a holy crap. Like he just said
Okay.
that.
Okay. So more like a nervous laugh. Is that what you're saying?
I would say that would be a way to categorize it, yes.
Okay. And did you end up reporting this after this happened?
Reporting it in terms of,
For charging.
yes,
And why did you do that?
because I believe the threat may be credible.
I have no further questions, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Lebo.
Very briefly, Your Honor. Sergeant Irby, were you laughing because you were looking forward to submitting charges against Mr. Buckner?
No.
Okay.
Shocked reaction.
Fair to say that throughout the conversation with Mr. Buckner, far before you made that statement, you were generally fairly impatient with him?
Yes.
Fair to say you're not a fan of Mr. Buckner?
I wouldn't describe it as that. I've had a lot of dealings with him.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. May this witness be excused.
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sergeant Evers. You may be excused. Any further witnesses in the prosecution?
No, Judge, and the people rest our case.
Thank you. Any witnesses from the defense?
No, your defense rests except for closing argument.
All right.
Here's where the courtroom drama truly spikes. Buckner threatens, "If you approach me at the pizza place, I'm going to beat the underscore and the screw out of him." This isn't just a reckless statement. It's a direct threat to a law enforcement officer. Sergeant Herbie takes it seriously, and as we see, this is unusual. Most citizens don't make brazen threats over a misdelivered trespass notice, and this highlights Buckner's audacity and complete disregard for the law. Notice the commentary on emotional impact. Herbie is concerned and frightened. That human reaction is critical. It reminds the audience that these aren't abstract legal issues, but real threats affecting real...
All right. So, Mr. Buckner, you fully understand you have a right to testify, at which time anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You're choosing to waive that right and not testify today. Is that you're choosing to not testify today, and you're not going to exercise your right to testify? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right. I guess we can proceed with closing statements with the people, please.
Thank you, Judge. So, Judge, we heard testimony from Sergeant Irby's. We know this happened in Ypsilanti Township, and we know that the defendant made these threats through a phone. The telephone number was also put on the record. We actually saw the phone call that was used to communicate between Sergeant Irby's and the defendant, Mr. Buckner. Second, that when communicating with Sergeant Irby's, the defendant threatened physical harm to another person or to any person. It doesn't even really matter who that person is. Sergeant Irby's believed that that person that he was threatening happened to be Deputy Clark because he spoke about Deputy Clark. He actually said that he had a beef with Deputy Clark. He told Sergeant Irby's that that he has a beef with him, he wasn't happy with him, that there was issues going on with Deputy Clark that Sergeant Irby's wasn't aware of. And then he said that if he approaches him at the pizza place, that he's going to beat the fuck out of him. Judge, these are threats that were made by the defendant directly to a sergeant of a law enforcement agency.
Now, Let's examine credibility. Sergeant Herbie identifies Buckner immediately based on previous encounters. This isn't a one-off incident. It's a pattern. Buckner's knowledge of Ms. delivered trespass notice proves it's him, and the threats aren't just bluster, they have context. This is an important point for viewers. Credibility isn't just about who's speaking. It's about history, context, and observable behavior. And the detail about him referencing Deputy J. Clark specifically shows premeditation. Every word is calculated, and this moment in the trial underscores how the prosecution builds a case around both direct evidence and character patterns.
For charging, Judge, that shows me right there that this sergeant believed that the defendant made those threats with the intent to frighten, intimidate, threaten, disturb the peace and quiet of the sergeant, which is exactly what he did. If these threats meant nothing to Sergeant Irby's, he would have just laughed it off and did nothing, Judge. That's not what happened here. When he heard those threats,
get the fuck off the
he
shit.
actively did.
Mr. Buckner,
My dogs is back here chewing on my stuff.
I'm sorry, Ms. Woods, you may continue.
It's fine, Judge. What I was just basically getting to, Judge, is these guys, police officers, you know, they do a dangerous job. When Sergeant Irby's heard this threat, he believed it was a real threat, and he took action on that threat, Judge, which is what he should have done, especially when you have a man who's claiming that if another officer shows up to a pizza place where he's going to be, that he's going to beat the fuck out of him. That's not how, you know, everything that we just heard today, Judge, meets every element for this case. And I do believe that based on the actions of Sergeant Irby's, he showed this court that he did take these threats seriously. And he did proceed forward with alerting the other officer, Deputy Clark, of these threats, and sent this case forward for charging, which is what he should have done, because what Mr. Buckner did by making these threats to a sergeant of a law enforcement agency is against the law, and he should not be allowed to get away with that kind of behavior, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lebo?
Firstly, let me apologize for the sounds I heard from Mr. Buckner while Ms. was delivering her closing argument. So, in order for Mr. Buckner to be convicted of the offense of malicious use of telecommunications device, the prosecutor must prove, among elements that are not at issue in this case, that Mr. Buckner knew his actions were wrong, but he acted intentionally with the specific intent to terrorize, frighten, intimidate, harass, annoy, or disturb the peace and quiet of Deputy Irby's. It is, under the law, it is not relevant whether Deputy Irby's genuinely believed that the threat was sincere or not. The only relevance is whether Mr. Buckner had the specific intent to make that statement while he was also making a true threat. This is from the model jury instruction of this offense at 35.
Check out this fascinating nuance. When asked about the threat, the officer initially laughs. Now, this isn't mockery. It's genuine surprise at how brazen Buckner is. Then, when asked again, the officer refines his description from concerned to frightened. That is subtle but crucial insight into courtroom dynamics. Emotions are complex, and how witnesses describe feelings can influence perception and credibility. The audience should note how the defense might try to leverage this, but in reality, it humanizes the officer while simultaneously emphasizing the seriousness of Buckner's threat. Courtroom psychology in action. Folks, this is the stuff that keeps us glued to every moment. So, to summarize, Lawrence Buckner's case isn't just about a misdelivered trespass notice. It's about blatant threats, repeated confrontations with law enforcement, and a disregard for both authority and the law. Sergeant Herbie's testimony and the body cam footage paint a clear picture. This wasn't an isolated misunderstanding. It was a deliberate and serious threat. As viewers, we get an inside look at how law enforcement assesses credibility, measures threats, and maintains safety in unpredictable situations. If you found this case as shocking as we did, hit that like button. Share your thoughts and comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.